Hey, beautiful people. Sorry about that. I forgot to change the time. Excuse me. I've got a sore throat today, so I don't know if we're gonna make it all the way through what I plan to make through, but you know, I'm gonna try. So, how's everyone doing today? Leave it in the comments. Um, I don't have any comment of the day because I've been trying to save my voice for reading. Excuse me. Alrighty, so let's get on with it. We are in Ezra 6 today. Uh, Hang on. Um, Let me share my screen. Alright, make sure it's shared. There we go. Alrighty. Uh, alright, chapter 6. King Darius then issued an order, and they searched in the archives stored in the treasury at Babylon. The scroll was found in the citadel of Ecbatana, Ecbatana in the province of Media, and this was written on it. Memorandum: in the first year of King Cyrus, the king issued a decree concerning the temple of God. Sorry about that. Concerning the temple of God in Jerusalem. Let the temple be rebuilt as a place to present sacrifices, and let its foundations be laid. It is to be 60 cubits high and 60 cubits wide, with 3 courses of large stones and 1 of timbers. The costs are to be paid by the royal treasury. Also, the gold and silver articles of the house of God, which Nebuchadnezzar took from the temple in Jerusalem and brought to Babylon, are to be returned to their places in their temple in Jerusalem. They are to be depositioned in the house of God. Now, question for you. Why would a foreign king give a fuck about how big the temple is? Seriously. That doesn't make any sense. Verse 6. Now then, Tatnai, governor of Trans-Euphrates, and Shethar-Bozenai, and you other officials of that province, stay away from there. Do not interfere with the work on this temple of God. Let the governor of the Jews and the Jewish elders rebuild the house of God on its site. Excuse me. Moreover, I hereby decree what you are to do for these elders of the Jews in the construction of this house of God. Their expenses are to be fully paid out of the royal treasury from the revenues of Trans-Euphrates, so that the work will not stop. Whatever is needed, young bulls, rams, male lambs for burnt offerings to the God of heaven, wheat, salt, wine, and olive oil as requested by the priests in Jerusalem, must be given them daily without fail, so that they may offer sacrifices pleasing to the God of heaven and pray for the well-being of the king and his sons. Sorry about that. Um, alright, this makes no sense why King Darius would be giving carte blanche to the priests of Jerusalem, but whatever. Um, Verse 11. Furthermore, I decree that if anyone defies this edict, A beam is to be pulled from their house and they are to be impaled on it. That's a lovely image in your mind, isn't it? Oh, and this is from the Bible, which is supposed to be a family-friendly book. Oh, wait a minute. We're supposed to be getting our morals and values from this book. Good job, God! I mean, I know this is actually King Darius making this decree, but it is in the Bible, so obviously God approves of it. Ugh. Don't Christians even read their own fucking book? That's disgusting. Hey, scapegoat. I see a dictator coming. So anyway, yeah. Um, yeah, that's not creepy at all, is it? And I just want to know, have they found this? Like, have they found a copy of this anywhere? I'd be interested to know if this is like real history, you know, or if this is just like, made up history. And I know that sounds a little bit loopy, but you get my drift. I think the technical term is mythohistory. So, anyway, alrighty. Uh, Moving on. Had to wet my whistle. And for this crime, their house is to be made a pile of rubble. Also, good merciful God there. And like I said, I know it's King Darius, but God's the one that done did left it in his Bible. Verse 12. May God, who has caused his name to dwell there, overthrow any king or people who lifts a hand to change this decree or to destroy this temple in Jerusalem. I, Darius, have decreed it. Let it be carried out with diligence. Then, because of the decree King Darius had sent, Tattenai, governor of Trans-Euphrates, and Shethar-Bozenai and their associates carried it out with diligence. So the elders of the Jews continued to build and prosper under the preaching of Haggai the prophet and Zechariah the descendant of Iddo. They finished building the temple according to the command of the God of Israel and the decrees of Cyrus, Darius, and Artaxerxes, kings of Persia. The temple was completed on the 3rd day of the month Adar in the 6th year of the reign of King Darius. No, scapegoat. No, I mean, I know Darius was true. I think he actually went by another name in like real history, but I know Darius is true. Actually, I think Darius had two names. I'm not sure. There were a couple of kings that had two names, so it's kind of weird. Okay, but at any rate, um, No, I think Cyrus was before Darius. But anyway, no, I know Darius existed. I'm not talking about Darius being mythohistory. I'm talking about the decree that this is talking about being mythohistory. Well, I can Google it right quick. So give me um a minute. There's a lot of kings at this time had two names. Oh, it is Cyrus. Good going. Uh, I thought they were different, but so several scholars argue Darius the Mede is another name for Cyrus the Persian, the king known from history as the conqueror of Babylon. A key argument supporting Cyrus as Darius is Weismann's translation of 628. Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius and the reign of Cyrus the Persian. Okay. So it's not okay. So this is just a best guess that Darius was Cyrus. Yes, scapegoat. I love it too. Oh, I'm sure he would. I'm sure he would. That's his jam. That's his time frame right there. So we've got an educated guess that Darius is another name for Cyrus. Hello, who's ever out there? Because he don't do the existing, blessed be he. How you doing there? How you doing, buddy? You been okay? Haven't seen you around lately. Been kind of worried about you, actually. I was like the other day, why hasn't Blessed Be He been around? But I haven't been around a whole lot lately either, so I can't really, you know, I can't really bitch too much. So how you doing, Blessed Be He? Alrighty, moving on. Um, Verse 16, then the people of Israel, the priests, Levites, and the rest of the exiles celebrated the dedication of the house of God with joy. For the dedication of this house of God, they offered 100 bulls, 200 rams, 400 male lambs, and as a sin offering for all Israel, 12 male goats, one for each of the tribes of Israel. And they installed the priests in their divisions and the Levites in their groups for the service of God at Jerusalem, according to what is written in the book of Moses. On the 14th day of the first month, the exiles celebrated the Passover. The priests and Levites had purified themselves and were all ceremonial clean. The Levites slaughtered the Passover lamb for all the exiles, for their relatives, the priests, and for themselves. So the Israelites who had returned from the exile ate it together with all who had separated themselves from the unclean practices of their Gentile neighbors in order to seek the Lord, the God of Israel. For 7 days they celebrated with joy the feast of unleavened bread, because the Lord had filled them with joy by changing the attitude of the king of Assyria, so that he assisted them in the work on the house of God, the God of Israel. Chapter 7. After all these things, during the reign of Artaxerxes, king of Persia, Ezra the son of Sariah, the son of Azariah, the son of Hilkiah, son of Shallum, son of Zadok, son of Ahitub, son of Amariah, son of Azariah, son of Marios, the son of Zerahiah, the son of Uzai, son of Bukai, son of Abishua, son of Phinehas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, the chief priest, as Ezra came up from Babylon. He was teacher, well versed in the law of Moses, which the Lord, the God of Israel, had given. The king had granted him everything he asked, for the Lord, the God, is with him. Some of the Israelites, including priests, Levites, musicians, gatekeepers, and temple servants, also came up to Jerusalem in the 7th year of King Artaxerxes. Okay. Now let me just see here. Artaxerxes the first was the 5th king of the Achaemenid Empire from 465 to December 424 BCE. He was the third son of Xerxes I. He may have been Artaxerxes, mentioned by Herodotus as being a satrap of the royal satrapy of Bactria. Artaxerxes was probably born in the reign of his grandfather Darius to the emperor's son and heir Xerxes I. All right. So just so you know, a satrap was kind of like a governor. I mean, you can think of it like a governor. Oh, I used to be Christian. Blessed be you. I know you don't believe that, but I did. Tell you what, why don't you try searching for the truth? Why don't you try going through the pages of the Bible, trying to pick out any inconsistencies? If there are none, you won't find any. Alrighty. Moving on. Plus, you probably don't even read your own book. I'm not going to just make that half-assed assumption of you. Blessed be he. But if you're like most Christians I know, you don't even read your own fucking book. So there's that too. Alrighty, moving on. Verse 8 Ezra arrived in Jerusalem in the 5th month of the 7th year of the king. He had begun his journey from Babylon on the 1st day of the 1st month, and he arrived in Jerusalem on the 1st day of the 5th month, for the gracious hand of his God was on him. For Ezra had devoted himself to the study and observance of the law of the Lord, and to teaching its decrees and laws in Israel. This is a copy of the letter King Artaxerxes had given to Ezra the priest, teacher of the law, a man learned in manners concerning the commands and decrees of the Lord for Israel. Artaxerxes, king of kings, to Ezra the priest, teacher of the law of the God of heaven, greetings. Now decree that any of the Israelites in my kingdom, including priests and Levites, who volunteer to go to Jerusalem with you, may go. You are sent by the king and his 7 advisors to inquire about Judah and Jerusalem with regard to the law of your God, which is in your hand. Moreover, you are to take with you the silver and gold that the king and his advisors have freely given to the God of Israel, whose dwelling is in Jerusalem, together with all the silver and gold you may obtain from the province of Babylon, as well as the freewill offerings of the people and priests for the temple of their God in Jerusalem. You know what? I've always wondered. I mean, ever since I really started thinking this stuff through, right? I've always wondered, why is it that God wants silver and gold? Silver and gold, silver and gold. Okay, I know. I'm horrible. I'm half joking at being horrible, and because I am horrible at singing. Um, that's a flashback to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I believe. Um, but anyway, but yeah, why does the God of heaven, the all powerful, who can do anything, why does he need silver and gold? Hmm. Better yet, if he wants silver and gold, why didn't he just poof it into existence? Just a thought. Okay, verse 17. With this money, be sure to buy bulls, rams, and male lambs, together with their grain offerings and drink offerings, and sacrifice them on the altar of your God in Jerusalem. You and your fellow Israelites may then do whatever seems best with the rest of the silver and gold in accordance with the will of your God. Deliver to the God of Jerusalem all the articles entrusted to you for worship in the temple of your God, and anything else you needed for the temple of your God that you are responsible to supply, you may provide from the royal treasury. Now I, King Artaxerxes, decree that all the treasurers of Trans-Euphrates are to provide with diligence whatever Ezra the priest, the teacher of the law of God of heaven, may ask of you, up to 100 talents of silver, 100 cores of wheat, 100 baths of wine, 100 baths of olive oil, and salt without limit. Whatever the God of heaven has prescribed, let it be done with diligence. For the temple of the God of heaven, why should his wrath fall on the realm of the king and of his sons? You are also to know that you have no authority to impose taxes, tribute, or duty on any of the priests, Levites, musicians, gatekeepers, temple servants, or other workers at this house of God. And you, Ezra, in accordance with the wisdom of your God, which you possess, appoint magistrates and judges to administer justice to all the people of Trans-Euphrates, all who know the laws of your God, and you are to teach any who do not know them. Whoever does not obey the law of your God and the law of the king must surely be punished by death, banishment, confiscation of property, or imprisonment. Praise be to the Lord, the God of our ancestors, who has put into the king's heart to bring honor to the house of the Lord in Jerusalem in this way, and who has extended his good favor to me before the king and his advisers and all the king's powerful officials, because the hand of the Lord my God was on me. I took courage and gathered leaders from Israel to go up with me. Chapter 8. These are the family heads and those registered who came with me from Babylon during the reign of King Artaxerxes, of the descendants of Phinehas, Gershom, of the descendants of Ithamar, Daniel, of the descendants of David, Haddish, of the descendants of Shechaniah, of the descendants of Parosh, Zechariah, and with him the registered 150 men, of the descendants of Moab, Elihonai, son of Zariah, and with him 200 men of the descendants of Zatu, Shechaniah, son of Jahaziel, with him 300 men of the descendants of Eben of Jonathan, with 50 men of the descendants of Elam, Jeshaiah, the son of Athaliah, with him 70 men of the descendants of Shephatiah, Zebediah, son of Michael, with him 80 men of the descendants of Joab, Obadiah, son of Jael, with him 18 men of the descendants of Bani, Shelomith, son of Josephiah, with him 160 men of the descendants of Bebai, Zechariah, son of Bebai, with 28 men of the descendants of Asgad, Johanan, son of Hakatan, with 110 men of the descendants of Adonikim, the last ones whose names were Eliphalet, Joel, Shemaiah, and with him 60 men of the descendants of Bigvai, Uthai, Zachar, with 70 men. Okay. See if anybody said anything lately. Yeah. Scapegoat, have you seen my series on the history of Israel? It's pretty good if I do say so myself. There's actually a high chronology and a low chronology for when Israel came about. They both have evidence for and against them. I know that seems contradictory, but we're talking about a time in history that we don't know much about. Oh, I didn't put it in playlist. Okay, well, I'll see what I can do to rectify that situation, Scapegoat. Thanks for letting me know. So you will find different dates according to whether archaeologists follow the high chronology of Israel or the low chronology of Israel. Um, but, you know, other than that, the other than the dates, you know, which I, you know, if you're gonna go that far back to the very beginning of a nation, you're probably gonna have differences in dates. Um, at any rate, moving on. I assembled them at the canal that flows toward Ahava, and we camped there 3 days. When I checked among the people and the priests, I found no Levites there, so I summoned Eleazar, Ariel, Shemaiah, Elnathan, Jerib, Elnathan, Nathan, Zechariah, and Meshullam, who were leaders, and I'm going to butcher this name, Joyarib. Best I can do, folks. And Elnathan, who were men of learning, and I ordered them to go to Iddo, the leader in Cassiphia. I told them what to say to Iddo and his fellow Levites, the temple servants in Cassiphia, so that they might bring attendance to us for the house of our God, because of the gracious hand of our God was on us. They brought us Sherebiah, a capable man from the descendants of Mali, son of Levi, son of Israel, and Sherebiah's sons and brothers, 18 in all, and Hashabiah, together with Jeshiah from the descendants of Merari, and his brothers and nephews, 20 in all. They also brought 220 of the temple servants, a body that David and the officials had established to assist the Levites. All were registered by name. There by the Ahava cave, I proclaimed a fast, so that we might humble ourselves before our God and ask him for a safe journey for us and our children with all our possessions. I was ashamed to ask the king for soldiers and horsemen to protect us from enemies on the road, because we had told the king, the gracious hand of our God is on everyone who looks to him, but his great anger is against all who forsake him. So we fasted and petitioned our God about this, and he answered our prayer. Oh my goshki. Ezra, how could you? How could you think to just betray God that way? To even think of asking a mere man for protection back to Jerusalem. Then I set apart 12 of the leading priests, namely Sherebiah, Hashabiah, and 10 of their brothers, and I weighed out to them the offering of silver and gold and articles that the king, his advisors, his officials, and all Israel present there had donated to the house of our God. I weighed out to them 650 talents of silver, silver articles weighing 100 talents, 100 talents of gold, 20 bowls of gold valued at 1,000 darics, and two fine articles of polished bronze as precious as gold. I said to bronze is not as precious as gold, people. Just gotta say that. Just gotta throw it out there. Bronze is not as precious as gold. If bronze was as precious as gold, it would be gold and not bronze. Uh, seriously. I mean, whoever edited the Bible, and I think it was Ezra, though don't quote me on that. Are you fucking kidding me? Leaving that in there. Are you like fucking kidding me? Leaving that in there. That's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And that's a lot saying that it's the Bible. So yeah, um, that's that's dumb. Gotta say that's dumb. Not the dumbest thing that's ever occurred in the Bible, but pretty gosh darn close to it. Alrighty. Hey, Limited. Yeah, you have a point, Scapegoat. I think he left. I'm not sure. Blessed be he. You still out there, bud? Alright, moving on. Verse 28. I said to them, you as well as these articles are consecrated to the Lord. The gold and silver are a freewill offering to the Lord, the God of your ancestors. Guard them carefully until you weigh them out in the chambers of the house of the Lord in Jerusalem before the leading priests and Levites and family heads of Israel. Then the priests and Levites received the silver and gold and sacred articles that had been weighed out to be taken to the house of our God in Jerusalem. On the 12th day of the first month, we set out from Ahava Canal to go through Jerusalem. The hand of our God was on us, and he protected us from enemies and bandits along the way. So we arrived in Jerusalem, where we rested 3 days. On the fourth day, in the house of our God, we weighed out the silver and gold and sacred articles into the hands of Meremoth, son of Uriah the priest. Eleazar, son of Phinehas, was with him, and so were the Levites, Josabad, son of Jeshua, and Nodiah the Binwi. Everything was accounted for by number and weight, and the entire weight was recorded at that time. Then the exiles who had returned from captivity sacrificed burnt offerings to the God of Israel, 12 bulls for all of Israel, 96 rams, 77 male lambs, and as a sin offering, 12 male goats. All this was a burnt offering to the Lord. They also delivered the king's orders to the royal satraps, to the governors of Trans-Euphrates, who then gave assistance to the people to the house of God. Chapter 9. After these things had been done, the leaders came and said, the people of Israel, including the priests and Levites, have not kept themselves separate from the people that detestable practices like those of the Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, Jebusites, Ammonites, Moabites, Egyptians, and Amorites. They have taken some of their daughters as wives themselves, and their sons have mingled the holy race with the peoples around them, and the leaders and officials have led the way in this unfaithfulness. Yep, and God's such a loving God. He doesn't see race or ethnicity or color. Hey, Whist. Sure. Give me another one. Alrighty. Moving on. Oh, I think this is where God does something despicable. Gee, imagine that. God doing something despicable. Verse 3. When I heard this, I tore my tunic and cloak, pulled, hang on, pulled hair from my head and beard, and sat down appalled. How dare the people treat other people like people? That's awful. Verse 4. Then everyone who trembled at the words of the God of Israel gathered around me because of this unfaithfulness of the exiles, and I sat there appalled until the evening sacrifice. Then at the evening sacrifice I rose from my self-abasement with my tunic and cloak torn, fell on my knees with my hands spread out to the Lord my God, and prayed, I am too ashamed and disgraced, my God, to lift up my face to you, because our sins are higher than our heads, and our guilt has reached to the heavens. From the days of our ancestors until now, our guilt has been great because of our sins. We and our kings and our priests have been subjected to the sword and captivity, to pillage and humiliation at the hand of foreign kings, and as it is today. Gee, Ezra, did you ever think that maybe, just maybe, those kings were like, you know, stronger than you were? Just a thought. Verse 8. But now, for a brief moment, the Lord our God has been gracious in leaving us a remnant and giving us a firm place in his sanctuary, and so our God gives light to our eyes and a little relief in our bondage. Though we are slaves, our God has not forsaken us in our bondage. He has shown us kindness in the sight of the kings of Persia. He has granted us new life to rebuild the house of our God and repair its ruins, and he has given us a wall of protection in Judah and Jerusalem. Yeah! Go from one slave situation to another. That's really, loving. Verse 10. But now, our God, what can we say after this? For we have forsaken the commands you gave us through your servant the prophets when you said, the land you are entering to possess is a land polluted by the corruption of its peoples. By their detestable practices, they have filled it with their impurity from one end to the other. Therefore, do not give them your daughters in marriage to their sons, or take their daughters for your sons. Do not seek a treaty of friendship with them at any time, that you may be strong and eat the good things of the land, and leave it to your children as an everlasting inheritance. What has happened to us is a result of our evil deeds and our great guilt, and yet, our God, you have punished us less than our sins deserved, and have given us a remnant like this. That is called victim blaming. You made me hit you. I didn't want to hit you. You made me hit you because you're such an awful girlfriend or wife, or whatever the hell God decides Israel is at that moment. Seriously, this is an abuser. Flat out. If anyone cannot see that this is an abuser, of course he's not real, but let's give it the benefit of the doubt and let's say she's talking to me. What you doing, babe? Um, but let's say he's the realsies, okay? This is an abuser. This is an abuser. Plain and simple. If you cannot see that, any Christians who've deigned to be in here this long, if you cannot see that this is an abuser, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you'll figure it out. But you've got to figure it out. Because nobody. What? She's talking to me, folks. Anyway, look, I can tell you all day long that this God you've conjured up in your mind is an abuser. But until you see it for yourselves, not much I can do. You know, it's that old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. All right, moving on. Verse 14. Shall we then break your commands again and intermarry with the peoples who commit such detestable practices? Would you not be angry enough with us to destroy us, leaving us no remnant or survivor? Lord, the God of Israel, you are righteous. Yep, more gaslighting. We are left this day as a remnant. Here we are before you in our guilt, though because of it, not one of us can stand in your presence. Chapter 10. Thank goodness. Can't stand much more of this abuse nonsense. While Ezra was praying and confessing, weeping and throwing himself down before the house of God, a large crowd of Israelites, men, women, and children gathered around him. They too wept bitterly. Then Shechaniah, son of Jehiel, one of the descendants of Elam, said to Ezra, we have been unfaithful to our God by marrying foreign women from the peoples around us, but in spite of this, there's still hope for Israel. Now let us make a covenant before our God to send away all these women and their children in accordance with the counsel of my Lord and of those who fear the commands of our God. Let it be done according to the law. Rise up, this matter is in your hands. We will support you, so take courage and do it. So, the women who were almost certainly kidnapped from around the nations surrounding Israel. Okay, they were kidnapped, almost certainly. Some of them may have come willingly, okay? Then they had kids with these idiots, right? And then these idiots are like, oh, it's our bad that we took um, our wives from the nations around us, so we're just going to send them back. We're not going to give them anything. We're not going to, even think that we had children with these women. We may have even gotten to love them over the years. But we don't care about any of that. No, we've had our fun with them. We're just going to send them away now. So that we're free to marry. And our conscience will be clean. What? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Anybody who thinks this is a good book, and I'm talking to myself before I started realizing how heinous this book really is, anybody who thinks this is a good book has got a screw loose. Now, I'm talking about the kind of interpretation I grew up with, okay? So, the kind of interpretation that I grew up with may not be what the writers originally intended it to be, okay? Because Christians have changed the Jewish Bible. Fact of life, people, get over it. Christians have changed the Jewish Bible. So we have no idea. I have no idea what has been changed and what hasn't. So I go and listen to a rabbi, Rabbi Tovia Singer. I love him. And I learn a lot from him. Okay. And, you know, um, I find out a lot about what the writers actually meant. Because you cannot trust the Christian Genesis through Malachi, you know, and you can't trust those 66 books. Sometimes it's more, depending on, you know, um, whether you're part of the Orthodox Church or the Roman Catholic Church or whatever. But you can't trust it. Period. You can't. Sorry, but you can't. All right, moving on. Verse 5. So Ezra rose up and put the leading priests and Levites and all Israel under oath to do what had been suggested. And they took the oath. Then Ezra withdrew from before the house of God and went to the room of Jehohanan, son of Eliashib. While he was there, he ate no food and drank no water because he continued to mourn over the unfaithfulness of the exiles. A proclamation was then issued throughout Judah and Jerusalem for all the exiles to assemble in Jerusalem. Anyone who failed to appear within 3 days would forfeit all his property in accordance with the decision of the officials and elders, and would himself be expelled from the assembly of the exiles. Damn, dude, harsh. What if they can't make it? What if they're sick? Jesus fucking Christ. Verse 9. Within the 3 days, all the men of Judah and Benjamin had gathered in Jerusalem. On the 20th day of the 9th month, all the people were sitting in the square before the house of God, greatly distressed by the occasion and because of the rain. Oh, we needed that little tidbit of information. And because of the rain. Don't forget it was raining. What? All right, moving on. Verse 10. Then Ezra, the priest, stood up and said to them, "You have been unfaithful to God. You have married foreign women, adding to Israel's guilt. Now honor the Lord, the God of your ancestors, and do his will. Separate yourselves from the peoples around you and from your foreign wives. Have I said on this channel before that God's a dick? Yeah, tell me about it, Wiz. I like true crime too. Have I said on this channel that God's a dick? Probably, but it stands repeating. God's a dick. Yeah, I don't know, scapegoat. I think that was maybe godless engineer. But anyway, God of the dick sounds good to me. Alrighty, moving on. Well, you worship God of the second chance, huh? Well, guess what? You also worship God of the dick. I think God of the dick might sound a little bit better than God of the second chance. Yeah, gotta love it then. All right, moving on. The whole assembly responded with a loud voice. You are right. We must do as you say. But there are many people here, and it is the rainy season, so you cannot stand outside. Besides, this matter cannot be taken care of in a day or two, because we have sinned greatly in this thing. Let our officials act for the whole assembly. Then let everyone in our towns who has married a foreign woman come at a set time, along with the elders and judges of each town, until the fierce anger of our God in this matter is turned away from us. Only Jonathan, son of Asahel, and Josiah, son of Tikva, supported by Meshullam and Shabbatai the Levite, opposed this. So the exiles did as was proposed. Ezra the priest selected men who were family heads, one from each family division, all of them designated by name. On the first day of the 10th month, they sat down to investigate the cases, and by the first day of the month, they finished dealing with all the men who had married a foreign woman. Among the descendants of the priests, the following had married foreign women. Good job, priests. Set a good example for the people. From the descendants of Joshua, son of Josadak, and his brothers Messiah, Eleazar, Jerib, and Gedaliah, they all gave their hands and pledged to put away their wives, and for their guilt they each presented a ram from the flock as a guilt offering. From the descendants of Immer, Hanani, and Zebediah. From the descendants of Haram, Messiah, Elijah, Shemaiah, Jehiel, and Uzziah. From the descendants of Pashbar. You know what? I don't feel like reading all this shit. So, I'm just gonna. It's just from the descendants of, from the descendants of, from the descendants of. And I'll just go through it here so you can see and you can read it if you want to. But because my throat is sore, I'm not gonna read it all. So please forgive me. Verse 44. All these had married foreign women, and some of them had children by these wives. Good going. We're going to ignore our wives, and we're going to ignore our children so we can get new wives, so we can get better wives. And we're not racist at all. Nope, not racist at all. Yeah. You know what? I am glad this God does not exist. I don't know whether this is the God as portrayed in the Jewish Bible, because, like I said, the Christians have just done a number on the Jewish Bible. So I don't even know if this God resembles the Jewish God. But I'll tell you something. Distill all the horrible, horrible, horrible war criminals. And I'm talking about horrible war criminals. And I'm into like history and all that. So there's this guy in Transylvania. He lived in the 14th century, I believe, 14th or 15th century. Um, he was the Prince of Wallachia. That's with a W. That starts with a W. It's pronounced like a V, but it's a W. Go look him up if you have trouble understanding who I'm talking about. I'm not saying his name on here because he might be banned along with 88. You know what I mean? Because he was probably worse than 88 if you want to know the truth about it. But yeah, you distill all of those people, all of those horrible, horrible people into one, and you still have an infinitely better person than the Christian God. Yep, scapegoat, that's him. That is him, the impaler. Yep. Um, can't really say whether the Jewish God is horrible. Like I said, the Christians have fucked up the Jewish scriptures so much, it's hard to tell. Um, but you know, um, certainly the Christian God. Certainly the Christian God. Oh, scapegoat, I don't know. There were a lot of people that were hideous, at least as hideous as the Impaler. Like, we got Soleimani. Not a whole lot of people know who Soleimani is, but Soleimani's the guy that pretty much made the Impaler who the Impaler was. Then you've got um, um, uh, God damn it. I will get off of here, and I swear to God, the minute I get off of here, I'm going to remember his name. But anyway, but yeah, if you want to know who Soleimani is, look him up. He basically made the Impaler who the Impaler was. You know, it could be that, you know, the Wallachian prince would have been hideous no matter what, but don't think Soleimani helped very much. Yeah, Wist, that's him. That's the Impaler. Yeah, scapegoat. Can you believe the Christians blame the atheists for that? You do know 88 was a Christian, right? At least he claimed to be a Christian. And let's not forget the Crusades. So, when Christians have done horrible, horrible, horrible things in the name of their God, don't you dare talk to me about religion, you assholes. 88, I'm not going to say his name on here. That's instant demonetization. I know for a fact. So I get around it by saying 88. If you don't know who he is, look him up. Yeah, scapegoat. Give you a hint. He lived during World War II. Think of the eighth letter of the alphabet. Another hint. Yep, got it in one go, scapegoat. So yeah. At any rate, what do you expect? What do you expect? You know? No, I haven't seen that one, scapegoat. Alright. Alrighty, people. So I will see you tomorrow. Sorry, sorry I was a little late getting here. So, but yeah, I got here. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.